If you feel like you aren't designing as fast as you want to be, it could be because of this. Imagine you worked in a restaurant.
Yes, chef.
What's the first thing you do before you start taking orders and cooking meals? Why do bartenders show up hours before a bar opens to get things ready? I was sitting at a bar yesterday watching them cut up all the garnishes for all the drinks they were going to be making later in anticipation of a busy night. They cut up all the fruit and organized them by which ones were going to stay fresh and which ones were making a trip to the dehydrator. They organized all their glassware by which drinks they get more orders on, and they even pre-made a bunch of syrups to use as the ingredients for their signature drinks. It's called mise en place. It's a fancy French word for the prep work that you do before cooking. So why aren't you doing this for your art and design? From the very early days of learning design and getting your first jobs, people love to tell you all about their organization systems and naming conventions and why all of their hard drives are named after their favorite Star Wars characters. But organization is just the beginning. Over the past 20 years of my design career, I've learned how to do some prep and organization to make sure I can do things super fast without sacrificing the quality of my design work. I had a job where I was asked to design 50 boxes using patterns from an existing style guide in just 2 days. They gave me an old Photoshop template of the box and told me to just go for it. The template was really bad and the layers were set up in a way that even using existing artwork, it was taking me like 15 to 20 minutes to design each box. Now, I'm no math magician, but I'm pretty sure that would have taken me more than 2 days. I decided to spend the first hour remaking the template and setting it up in a way that I could make multiple designs in one file and export them all at once so that I could deliver them as fast as possible. I was able to make all 50 boxes within the next hour and finish the project an entire day early. There have been so many times like this where I've been asked to do something that's basically impossible, and the only way to do it is to do some prep work to make sure that I can get this done on time or faster and in the best way possible. So instead of sitting down to sketch ideas from nothing, I spend a couple of hours researching the client, checking out all of their social media to see what I can learn, and even investigating their competitors online. Just jumping in and starting with no direction is probably the worst thing that you can do for a new client, especially if they have no idea what they want and they haven't been able to convey any of their ideas or thoughts. This way, you can get as much prep as possible done to make sure that you're on the same page before you even get started on any other parts of the project. Here's a few examples of some features that I use to do some prep work before I ever get started on a project, and even some things that I do while I'm working. Multiple comps on artboards. I once had to make 80 Halloween themed designs for my job, so before I got started, I opened an Illustrator file with 80 artboards, and I put 80 t-shirts across these artboards in different Halloween colors, so that way I would be able to see all of the pieces that I needed to merchandise, and I would easily be able to zoom out and see what I've already used while I was in the process of creating the artwork. Then I could export them all at once and deliver them as fast as possible. By the way, it was one day. I did all of those 80 designs in one day, using symbols. I use symbols in Illustrator to create multiple instances of one design across a bunch of different comps in one Illustrator file. Then if I have changes, I only have to change it once and it'll update across all of the instances. Honestly, this is even helpful if you only have like 2 instances, because even if it only saves you 2 minutes of time, that time is super important if you need to take a lunchtime midday nap to keep going. Working files and folders. Most video editors have really good systems for keeping track of their source files, fonts, plugins, effects, and sounds that they use in their projects, because video editing software usually links to these things. As graphic designers, that's not usually the case. However, it's a really good habit to get into. When I'm dragging files into Photoshop, I hold Command and Shift to keep them linked. This way, if I need to update the instance of the art file, it will automatically be linked and updated into my comp. It works really similar to how the symbols do in Illustrator, but you can even use linked Photoshop files in Illustrator if you're creating something using both programs. I like to package up a folder with the fonts and source files that I use, so that way if the client comes back with changes, I don't have to do a lot of digging to find what I need. I always try to keep a working file on my end so that I can access it and make any changes quickly, but then I create a separate file that I give to the client that has all of the fonts outlined, the strokes expanded, so that way the client doesn't have to mess around with these things that they don't always understand. These are just a couple of the ways I do the things that work for me, but hopefully Hopefully this inspires you to figure out what you can do to prep for your designs. Next time you're starting a project, take a step back and think about your mise en place. What can you prep to make your life easier? Even if you can only find a way to save a couple of minutes, I think it's a really great place to start. And the best part about being a fast designer is that you can still get paid the same rate for doing a job that takes you half the time. Remember that speed is part of your skill set. You don't have to charge less because it took you less time, because the client is paying for your skills and your knowledge and your ability to do things the right way, not the actual physical time that it takes you to sit down and complete a project. Good prep is just as much a part of your skill set as being really good at naming your hard drives. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for checking out my channel, and like always, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.